You made it to the home inspection. Breathe deep. This can be often the most emotional part of buying a home, is getting through that home inspection. Keep in mind that the seller wants to sell this house too, and they want to sell it to you. That's why they accepted your offer, and that's why we're having this conversation right now in this video. So in this video, we're going to talk about the home inspection process, what to think about, what should you expect, and how will we use this as we go forward. All right, so obviously the purpose of a home inspection is so that you understand what you're buying in this house. What are the physical risks to this house that may impact your health, your well-being, the longevity of the house itself? Are there risks that you are okay with? Are there costs to accepting those risks, and what might those costs be? And this is what you'll be evaluating through the process of going through your inspection. It's important to note that in every single inspection that's going to happen, there will be issues. Just think about it. You paid a professional several $100s to go look at a house. They're going to come back with something. Even in a brand new construction home, I guarantee you they will always find something that's not quite exactly to code or exactly to being. So you got to have it with a grain of salt and understand what is the impact. And of course, your inspector is going to actually go through that report with you to help you understand what some of those risks might be, what might be the impacts, and give you a little more details there to let you know whether you want to actually fix this item or not. Keep in mind too that inspectors are usually using today's code when they're inspecting a home, so some things that show up on a home might not actually be relevant at the time that the house was built. For example, if your house was built in the 90s, your door that comes in into the house from the garage may not automatically shut. Now today, in today's building code, that's part of it, right? Because houses are known to, at least when they're in a situation where there is a house fire, they're known to burn slower if that house doesn't breathe as well. So they have a code where all garage doors automatically shut. So if that shows up in your report, you'll need to assess, is that something that you want to add or not? And it may not be something that the seller thinks that they need to do because it's a 1990s home, therefore it shouldn't be held to today's code, right? So there's a little bit of a back and forth that you'll need to have in understanding the report the inspector gives you to determine, are these things that I should ask for or not? So after you get through this inspection report and you understand what are some of the risks or things that maybe you want addressed, we'll need to assess several things. Do you want these done or fixed before? We can negotiate that into the contract. And usually we're going to ask for professional contractors to go do that work and show proof of receipts of that work done too. So that way you know that it was done by a quality person. We can negotiate more on the price of the home and ask for a discount on that price. Another way that you might like to approach this is maybe you don't trust the contractor that they're going to choose or use. Maybe you'd like to do that yourself. And so one way we see quite regularly asked for is where the buyer will ask for a concession on the contract. And a concession is simply put, it's money that the seller pays for to cover some of your closing costs. Now keep in mind, if the repair is, let's just say $1,000 for a nominal figure here for said repair, if they give you $1,000 concession, then that means you have to bring $1,000 less of your dollars to the closing table. And that gives you that money after the sale to then go hire the contractor you want, do it the way you want it done. Maybe you know a specific contractor that you have a good relationship with, and that way it gives you the peace of mind knowing it was done and it was done correctly, right? So there's different ways we can do this. Again, highlighting, you can ask for price reductions, we can have it repaired by the seller, or we can, of course, ask for a concession. And these are all requests that the seller then has to agree to, and they have to make sure that we have both parties in this aligned on how we're going to approach this. Keep in mind that your inspector is going to point out if there's a problem. They're not going to tell you how much the problem costs, and they're not going to tell you much else really than consult a professional in this area. So for example, if they see that maybe the foundation is potentially settling or there might be a crack in the drywall, they don't know for sure if there's an issue or not. We need to actually call a professional company out there to come do a proper survey and consult to tell us if there's a foundation that needs to be repaired or not. Keep in mind, the option period is usually pretty short. It's pretty dense. You probably have the most work you need to do during that time. and we're happy to help you connect with different contractors that we know here in the Houston area to bring out professionals and give you those estimates. But ultimately, we want to have an estimate, we want to understand the cost, and then make sure that you're okay with it going forward. Then we want to have either a negotiation request, going back to our 3 requests that we talked about earlier, or we want to say, okay, this may just not be the house for us, and back out. So the whole goal here is to get through your due diligence process on this home. Will you go forward with it, and do you understand what those costs are? Keeping the emotions, of course, at bay and helping you focus on getting the deal done. We're going to put a few links of inspectors in the video below, but depending on the home, we might see different things with the home, and we might want a specialty inspection done for that specific case in that home, right? And so we'll recommend different people along the way. Either way, we're along with you for the ride, and we'll see you at the closing table.